Speed, firepower, relentless pursuit. Every second is captured in raw, unfiltered footage shot by professional hunters. No refarshaus, no retakes, just instinct and a life or death battle between man and beast. Are you ready to enter this fight for survival? Let's dive in right now. The first stop. The Pindus Mountains, a rugged range where treacherous terrain, dense forests, and a rich ecosystem form the perfect maze for wild boars to hide. At 5 a.m., Ronan started up his trusted vehicle, quietly gliding through the cold morning mist toward the mountain's base. Wasting no time, he and his hunting dog plunged into the deep forest, tracking the creature locals ominously call the Shadow on snow. After over 30 minutes of silent pursuit in skin-piercing cold, a dark figure suddenly charged, heading straight for Ronan. In less than a minute, it was nearly upon him. Would you stay calm enough to pull the trigger in that moment? Ronan didn't hesitate. A precise, decisive shot. A mark was left on the Pindus Mountains, but the journey was far from over. Felix and his team, binoculars in hand, the silence was suffocating. 15 minutes passed. Then a dark silhouette silently drifted through the low grass. Felix held his breath, eyes locked through the scope. The moment the target came into range, a light, deliberate squeeze. One clean shot. The beast dropped in the grass without a sound. When the ground no longer offers a clear view, the sky becomes the next battlefield. This time, we follow Dustin's team soaring above the wide-open skies of Texas.
Oh, we got several of them, yeah. Okay.
As the last light of dusk fades, the helicopter roars to life, slicing through the air, sweeping low over the terrain in search of the beast below.
Oh, look at there, that was good.
The pilot swiftly maneuvers in close, holding the chopper steady to give Dustin the perfect firing angle. Gunfire erupts, one by one. The targets fall, collapsing into the grass as blades of green fly with every impact. Wild boar carcasses lie scattered across the field. Today, the skies of Texas belong to the hunters. Leaving the skies of Texas behind, we now head into the mountains of Corsica, a place where movement is restricted by thick brush and rugged terrain. Lewis's team had arrived early. With all gear prepared, he moved into a pre-marked position, giving him a clear view of the opposing hillside. While scanning the dense bushes, a familiar silhouette suddenly came into view, a wild boar, sniffing through the grass, foraging for food. Lewis tightened his grip on the rifle and pulled the trigger. One clean, decisive shot. The journey now takes us to Gorsky Kotur, a rugged land where thick forests and rolling hills weave together into a natural maze, perfect for wild boars to disappear into. Scott, along with his pack of hunting dogs, moves steadily uphill, weaving through rocky trails and dense undergrowth. Less than 10 minutes in, the dogs erupt, barking furiously at a nearby thicket. Suddenly, a wild boar bursts out like a bullet. The shot rings out the moment it breaks cover. Another ambush, over in a heartbeat. No time to think, no time to run. Suddenly, the excited barking of his dogs echoed through the woods the target had been found. A shadow darted through the trees, frantically searching for a way to escape. But it was too late. The moment the beast broke into the open, Stephen fired. Wild boars, savage beasts of the wilderness with razor-sharp tusks, muscular builds, and terrifying destructive power. They swarm down into the farmlands of Mississippi, tearing up fields and causing thousands of dollars in damage overnight. But even worse, they carry diseases that threaten livestock and the entire ecosystem. We couldn't stand by any longer. We had to act. The battle to reclaim our land had begun. But the question remains, can we stop this horde of monsters before it's too late? At the rendezvous point, the team quickly checked all gear and weapons. Everything was ready. Without delay, they spread out, cautiously scanning each spot and every bush, aware that danger could be lurking anywhere. After 15 minutes of eerie silence, the sound of hunting dogs echoed from the thickets, signaling the prey's location. I strained my eyes, watching for the slightest movement in the bushes ahead. There, the wild boar was dashing through the brush. Without hesitation, I raised my rifle, took aim, and fired. The boar collapsed. It had no chance to escape. After that encounter, we moved further up the mountain, where wild boars often hide. The dogs barked furiously from within the brush, and I rushed toward the sound. The barking grew louder. The prey was close. A wild boar burst out like a bolt of lightning, but I was just as fast. A thunderous shot rang out. The boar staggered, then dropped to the ground. In a thick brush, we had stationed a team to block any escape routes. It seemed they were also closing in on the prey. Under relentless pursuit by the hunting dogs, a wild boar had grown exhausted, completely surrounded. There it was. The rest was almost too easy. One clean shot, and it was over. I wasn't with the others. I moved alone, quietly making my way deeper into the forest, searching for any signs of wild boars that had slipped away. A sound echoed in the distance. It sounded like footsteps. They were getting closer, and it wasn't just one, probably more. Instinctively, I raised my rifle and took the shot without a second thought. One target down. Wild boars are cunning creatures, which is why our team never let our guard down for even a second. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from a nearby bush. The moment the target appeared, he seized the opportunity and fired a precise shot, securing another impressive trophy. Darkness began to fall, and the team was quickly tracking down the last remaining wild boars. But I stayed hidden, patiently waiting for the perfect moment. Wait, something's approaching. That familiar silhouette. I swiftly raised my rifle, locked onto the target, and pulled the trigger. With each shot, another boar fell. Hunting wild boars isn't just a chase between man and beast. It's our way of protecting farmland, crops, and people from the disease and destruction these monsters bring. An open field in Florida with no bushes to hide behind, no way out. A hail of bullets sweeps across, and the wild boars flee. But this time, they're not easy targets. When pushed to the edge, will wild boars run or go mad and charge into a deadly fight? And if a 300-pound one turns back to attack, will the shooter be fast enough to pull the trigger? Or is he the one being hunted? The wild boars stormed across the field like a surge of fury. They tore through rows of soil, snapped corn stalks, and trampled patches of crops nearing harvest. Nothing could stop them. Iron fences were bent, water tanks overturned, entire irrigation systems shattered. They didn't destroy to survive. They destroyed out of brutal instinct. Each step they took shredded more land, crushed more property into the mud. This was no longer mere damage. This was a declaration of war. The boars hid silently in the field, as if nothing were there. But the harvester was merciless. Wherever it went, their hiding places disappeared. Panic set in. With no place to hide, the boars rushed towards the bushes at the edge of the field, thinking that was where they could escape. But the gunman was waiting. No rush, no confusion. Just a glance, a quick shot following their path. The shot tore through the air. One fell to the ground without a sound. The hunt began. The vineyard in front was left with only dry stumps and patches of scattered grass. As soon as I stepped forward, the hunting dogs barked fiercely. Without thinking, I rushed toward the sound. And just as I had sensed, the wild boar suddenly leapt out. There was no time to hesitate. I raised my gun and pulled the trigger. Boom! One shot was enough. It collapsed, motionless. A clean end, no chance for a second time. Suddenly, a wild boar burst out of the field, panicked by the barking. The moment I caught sight of it, I raised my gun, aimed directly, and pulled the trigger repeatedly. But this one was tough. It weaved through and escaped out of sight. I didn't hesitate. I ran around to the hidden side. Just as I arrived, I saw it trying to turn back and I raised my gun without a second thought. It collapsed right at the edge of the field, not getting a chance to turn back. We moved to the next location, an endless green field. We sped up on our motorbikes. Suddenly, I spotted a dark shadow in the distance, a wild boar quietly creeping in to cause destruction. Without saying a word, My teammate immediately swerved and charged forward. As soon as the engine roared, it panicked and fled. The chase began. I aimed and pulled the trigger. First shot, missed. Second shot, still missed. Third shot wasn't any better, but we didn't stop. When we got close, just a few meters away, I raised my gun one more time. This time, no mistakes. One shot clean kill. The beast collapsed right on its escape path. We returned to the cornfield, this time with our familiar allies, the hunting dogs. They spread out in all directions, sniffing every trace. In less than 5 minutes, loud barking erupted at the edge of the field. I immediately rushed over, gripping my gun tightly. As I approached the edge, I stopped and aimed toward the source of the noise. The sky was gradually getting dark, but I still hadn't stopped. Alone, I followed along the edge of the field, looking to see if any wild boar were left. Suddenly, I spotted the direction a boar was running. Without hesitation, I immediately picked up speed and moved to cut it off. It was about to dash into the neighboring field, but at that very moment, I had already raised my gun. One shot. Precise. The boar collapsed on the spot, without making a sound. Hunting is not just a passion. It helps protect crops, livestock, and the very survival of boars. Each boar taken down is one less threat. Wild boars, a familiar name, yet a true nightmare for our community. They don't just invade our fields, they brazenly rummage through residential areas, destroying crops and causing chaos day and night. To root out this cunning beast, our hunting team had no choice but to venture deep into the treacherous swamplands, where they hide, breed, and form their packs. This time, our destination was a swampy area right next to Wayne's home. We chose an airboat for the journey. The roar of the engine thundered through the air as the boat blasted forward at breakneck speed. Seated in the deck, we were all in position, eyes sharply focused. Over there! Without hesitation, I raised my rifle and pulled the trigger with precision. Within just 5 seconds, the animal dropped, unable to fight back. A perfect start to today's hunt. I had spotted another target. The sound of the engine must have triggered its instincts, sending it charging wildly ahead. But no matter how fast it ran, even at 40 kilometers h, it couldn't outrun the cold, powerful muzzle of our rifles. Thanks to the swamp's rich food supply, it has become a paradise for wild boars. Just 10 minutes later, a boar wandered right into Lionel's line of sight. He closed in immediately, gripping his rifle tight despite the engine's jolts, and opened fire in quick succession. Amazing! Despite the difficult terrain, we completed our objective. Now, in the middle of the vast swamp, the wild boar lay motionless, just a dark shadow against the wetland backdrop. After wrapping up yesterday's tense hunt, by the next afternoon, we ventured into an area with taller, denser trees. Using binoculars, our team spotted a large herd of wild boars busily foraging on the ground. We carefully moved in, silently closing the gap and choosing optimal shooting positions. The air felt heavy with anticipation. Bang! Bullseye! A thunderous gunshot echoed across the swamp, instantly dropping one of the boars in its tracks. Deeper inside the quiet marshlands, Wayne was quietly tailing a separate target. He crept forward with measured steps, reducing the distance to increase his shot accuracy. When a moment was right, he didn't hesitate. He fired. Perfect. The bullet streaked forward, hitting the boar square in the body. It let out a single shriek before collapsing on the spot.
Good shot, brother. He's down.
A few hundred meters farther in, I suddenly spotted a familiar dark figure peeking from behind the dense trees. I quickly moved closer, got into position, and waited for the boar to come fully into sight. The shot rang out, startling the boar into a run. But with our seasoned experience, we knew it wouldn't get far. Sure enough, it collapsed just about 10 meters away. Most hunters avoid this swamp due to its harsh and hard-to-reach terrain. Ironically, this has allowed wild boars to thrive even more. In response, we've continued our hunts to control their population and protect the surrounding farmland. You're ready, baby.
Upon arriving at the hunting grounds in Africa, we were filled with both excitement and caution. This place is not only a land of majestic golden grasslands, but also a battleground where predators and prey are in a constant struggle for survival. Our companion, a seasoned hunter who lives here, told us that the wildlife population has exploded, posing a threat to nearby villages. A hunting expedition is necessary to control the population and restore the natural balance. We followed the tracks of a lion pride lurking near the forest's edge, where villagers had reported repeated livestock attacks. A deep, resonating growl echoed in the distance, signaling the presence of a true predator. Lions are dangerous animals, so we had to be extremely careful. Quickly getting into position, we raised our guns, ready for a life or death battle. Moving cautiously through the low bushes and hiding behind massive tree trunks, we felt the tension thick in the air. The first bullet fired, hitting the lion's shoulder, but it wasn't enough to bring it down. Fury ignited in its eyes as it roared loudly. We had to coordinate perfectly, continuously firing to prevent a sudden counterattack from this mighty predator. As the lion collapsed, we sighed in relief, but we knew this was just the beginning of a long and challenging day. Continuing our journey, we ventured into the vast savanna, where a herd of zebras grazed peacefully. The villagers needed their meat and hides, as their increasing numbers were affecting the food supply of other wildlife. Unlike the encounter with the lion, this was a real chase. Zebras are swift as the wind. At the slightest noise, they would bolt like a storm. We split into teams, with one group applying pressure to drive them into an ambush. Shots rang out, and the zebras panicked, sprinting forward. But we had calculated their path. A fully grown zebra was taken down instantly. The rest vanished into the distance, leaving deep hoof prints in the dry grass. Fortunately, we managed to take down another zebra before they escaped completely. While tracking the zebras, we suddenly spotted a kudu, a massive antelope with impressive spiral horns, hiding in the dense bushes. Approaching the kudu is no easy task. They are incredibly alert and can sprint away at high speed if they sense danger. A large male kudu stood apart, scanning its surroundings cautiously. This was our target. The first shot fired, the kudu staggered before collapsing. The rest of the herd fled instantly, but we had already planned ahead. Another team member lay in wait, aimed carefully, and pulled the trigger, a perfect shot. Moving along the vast grasslands, we encountered another herd of antelopes grazing. Alongside zebras, antelopes are an essential source of meat in many African cultures. Locals use their meat for food, while their hides are crafted into traditional clothing and tools. Under the blazing sun, the antelopes remain highly alert, their eyes constantly scanning for danger. When one antelope wandered slightly away from the herd, we knew it was the perfect opportunity. We carefully approached to avoid detection. This was the moment. We were ready to fire. A precise shot struck the target. The large antelope collapsed instantly after a loud gunshot echoed across the plains. As soon as the target appeared, we pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out, one shot, one kill. This hunt not only yielded significant results but also helped balance the wildlife population, ensuring the safety of the local people.